Hi, I'm Joanna. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to review 4 books, 3 fiction, 1 nonfiction. Let's go. My first book is Under the Lake by Erin L McCoy. This is a very small town setting, and about 30 years ago or so, a dam was to be built, but the people in the area did not want to leave their homes, so they didn't. So it was assumed that when the flood came, all the people died, but they didn't. They survived, and now they live in a town or settlement under the lake. It is a completely different lifestyle than those over the lake, and that's how they say it, over the lake. I mean, they have a delusional perception of life, and their survival is getting harder and harder to maintain and sustain underneath. One of the main characters is May, and May is a mother who is desperately trying to find her missing daughter, Daphne, and she is certain that Daphne is alive underneath the lake. Another main character is Ada, and Ada is a marine biologist. She had a friend who disappeared on one of their dives, and this continues to haunt her, and so she is so reluctant to get back into the water. So when May reaches out to Ada, she has to beg to persuade her to teach her how to dive so that she can go under the lake and find Daphne, her daughter. May and Ada dive into the lake, and eventually they discover the Underlake community or communities, and that's when we start reading about their difficulties and their struggles on how to persevere in this eerie underworld. I really enjoyed the tone of the novel. It's such a mystery, and it's interesting to see how people hold on to their values and also how easily people can be manipulated. This novel is intriguing, very well written as well. I applaud the imagination and creativity of the narrative, of the plot, and I think you might too. I give this 5 stars. Book number 2, Hope Rises by David Baldacci. So this novel is really good, and that ain't no lie. That's shock from the novel. This character is constantly saying, that ain't no lie. He's my favorite character in the novel. This is actually book 2. The first one is Nash Falls. The same protagonist, Walter Nash. Walter Nash is the main character, and he also is of a good character. He's very kind-hearted, very sensitive and caring throughout the novel. He's a family man. He and his wife Judith have a 17-year-old daughter. So Walter Nash works for a company worth billions. Though unbeknownst to Nash, the corporation he works for is connected with a crime empire. Another main character is Sears. Sears is from China, and she destroys Nash by interfering with his family. Now, Nash goes all in, among other things. He ultimately works undercover and in tandem with the FBI to avenge all that he has lost. This novel gives us everything expected in a thriller. It's got chase, it's got torture, it's got suspense, and a few twists in the story, and it just reads like a crime thriller movie, and it concludes very nicely too. I really like this writer. I'm a bit biased. I give this 4 stars. My third novel is The Midnight Taxi by Yosha Gunasekera, and I know I mispronounced that, and I'm sorry. The book opens in the voice of the main character, Suri. She's a 27-year-old woman, and she drives a taxi for a living. Nearing the end of her shift, around midnight, hence the title of the book, a client jumps into her cab and requests a ride to the airport. Well, it's the end of her shift, and she was going to close up, but she relents, and she gives him the ride. On the way, there is an issue on the road. So Suri, very briefly, jumps out of the car and, observes. When she gets back into the car, she resumes her ride to the airport. Then she reaches the airport, and in the back seat, unbeknownst to her, her client has been stabbed to death. And of course, the blame points to Suri for this murder. We follow Suri in the novel as she investigates alongside her lawyer to help solve the murder and clear her name. So the novel gives a New York City vibe, then it's sprinkled with a little bit of Sri Lanka culture, like food and customs, etc., because Surrey is from there, and that's what I enjoyed as well. I listened to this story on audio and I was very into the pace. It isn't deep or anything, though there are some unexpected turns. The author brings this novel to a very satisfying close. It's very fast-paced again, so if you have a long wait somewhere, this novel might be for you. You will be immersed till the end. I give this novel 3.5 stars. Book number 4, my nonfiction book, Raising Hare by Chloe Dalton. This is a surprisingly fun read. Surprising because it's about a woman who, during the pandemic, finds and chooses to raise a wild baby hare. The premise alone may not sound very interesting, but I am so glad I picked up this book. It is a true story. So again, the author finds a baby hare, which is called a leveret, by the way, and she chronicles her day-to-day life caring for it. Through her lovely prose, we get a full sense of what it was like for her to share her home, or better yet, give it up. She allows the leveret to run freely in her home. She arranges her furniture in all spaces. So she accommodates him, leaving her doors open so he can roam free in and out. So in this way, she is able to observe and to learn the leveret's peculiar and unpredictable behaviors. I was fascinated. I actually found a new appreciation for its wild nature, and we know so very little about them, really. I know I tend to always try to humanize the animals. In other words, I see their needs like my needs. So this gave me a newfound respect for the wild. And after this experience, the author expressed how this experience changed her perspective on human behavior and on nature. She says she was left with so many questions like whether or not a hare can or should be domesticated. Here, I'll paraphrase. She says to domesticate is to alter the nature of the animal in order to fit it into the way of humans. But now she believes a better way is to have an innately wild animal such as the hare coexist with humans. She says coexistence gives our own existence greater poignancy or a better sense of emotion. So this sounds like she, after this experience, that she leans against domesticating any wild animal. And I tend to agree with her. She says that this experience changed her life forever. And after reading her experience with the wild, it has changed me too. I look at nature a bit differently. This book is surprisingly fun. I'm impressed. I was so intrigued. I think you might be too. I give this 5 stars.